Welcome to the Netivot Shalom Shir. You know, we all heard the expression, seeing is believing. So we're going to talk about what the Netivot Shalom has to say about the Torah regarding that kind of a comment. And this is from Parsha Re'eh. And the very first pasuk of this Parsha is Re'eh, see. Anochi nose lifnechem hayom, I am putting before you today bracha uklala, a blessing and a curse. As habracha, what is the bracha? The bracha is asher tishbu el mitzvos Hashem Elokeichem. The bracha is if you will listen to what God says to you, the commandments that God says to you. Asher anochi mitzav hayom, that I command you today, and so on. The Netivot Shalom goes on to say, Ha'orach Chaim HaKodesh, the holy Orach Chaim, Rav Chaim Atar. Amay b'pasuk zeh, he looks at this sentence that I just read. Alomru re'ei anochi nosi levnech mayom. The part of it that says, see what I am giving to you today. He says, Lama Omar Lashon Re'iyah al Hadvarim. Why does the Torah use a language of seeing when it's talking about words, about things, talking about listening? Asher tishbu, you shall hear. Why is it using the word to see? Well, you should also say, it should say rather, instead of saying Ray, it should say Shema, listen to what I'm going to say. Oda, or know what I'm going to say. Why see what I'm going to say? Moshe Nemar B'Kasuv Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Similar to what we say in the Shema. Listen, Israel. God is our God. God is one God. He says also, we have the same question we can ask in Parsha Nitzavim. What does it say there? It says, Re'eh, Nasati Lefanecha. See, look, I am putting before you, Hayom today, Esachayim Vesatov, the good and the bad, Veshamobes Veshara, Chayim Vesatov, life and good, and death and evil. What does that have to do with the language of seeing? Is this something that you can see with your eyes? But you should have said again, no. Know that I'm putting before you today the life and good, and so on. We find the same thing with Shabbos. As it said in Parsha B'Shalach, see that Hashem is giving you the Shabbos, the Gomer, and so on. And all of these, you have to understand why is the Torah using the language of seeing with regard to these things. Od Chaim also asks another question. Al Omru Anochi. It says, Rei Anochi, see, I am giving you. He says, what do we need the word Anochi for? Shetevos Anochi, it seems like an extra word. The Torah could simply have said, behold, I'm giving to you today the bracha and the kol. Why do you need the extra word anochi? We know the Torah doesn't have any extra words. So if we see an extra, what appears to be an extra word, we have to know that it comes to give us a message. Excuse me. Shoyochel Omar could have said, Asa Kasu B'Parsha Nitzavim. It could have said, as we say in the Parsha Nitzavim, Rei Nasati Lefanecha Yom Esachayim Veshamov. I am putting before you today life and good, and so on. Shlo Kasim Shom Anochi. There it didn't say the word Anochi. Right? It didn't say Re'eh Anochi Nosein Lechem. It says Re'eh Nasati Lechem. So what's the word Anochi? Why this seemingly extra word? Od Hiksha, Lama Omor Re'eh Lashon Yochid. Why does it say Re'eh in the singular? Kivan Shekol HaParsha B'Lashon Rabim. The rest of the rest of the parsha is in plural. Nosein Lifnechem. Re'eh is a word as if you're talking to one person, but Lifnechem to others. Mitzvah Eschem, that I command you, plural. So why does it say this in the singular, that in the Rabbim? And the Netivot Shalom goes on to say, Lashon Hayom. Why do we have to say the word Hayom today? You look at this first sentence, you see the repetition of the word Hayom many times. You see, that's the first time, bracha kola. Es habrocha asher tishma mitzvos Hashem Elokeichem asher anochi mitzavecha eschem hayom. Second time, there's another time that it's there too. Why does it keep repeating hayom? Obviously, we know Hashem is talking about today. So what does this come to teach us? Yivor al pi mashikosu bal torim, and we can explain this by virtue of looking at what the commentary, the Baal HaTorim says. Re'eh Anochi, see I. Re'eh, what does that mean? Re'eh Aseres HaDibros. Look at the 10 Commandments, the Aseres HaDibrot. Shepatcha Anochi v'tikayim otam. The Aseres HaDibros begins with the words Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher tzayseichem eretz Mitzrayim v'beis avodim. It begins with those words, begins with the word Anochi. And you shall do them. He says, Ki kol ha-mitzvos kolelas bohem. All of the Taryag mitzvos, all of the 613 commandments of the Torah are included in the Aseres HaDibros, in the 10 commandments. We can understand the intention of this. That which Chazal tell us. When the Torah was given, the Midrash brings, the Chilta brings that it said all the people, what it says, all the people saw the voices. Roim has es haneshama, hanishma. They saw what is heard. Now think of that. How can you see a sound? How can you see a sound? But they saw what was heard. They saw the sounds. Shakolos. Sorry? I didn't hear you. Oh, somebody has their mic on. Okay. Hold on a minute.
No, it's not going on.
It's off now. So they saw the sound. Shekolos shel Aseres HaDibros lo hayakashar kolosh. The sounds of the Aseres HaDibrot, the 10 Commandments, when Hashem is giving us the 10 Commandments, they were not like any other sound in the world. Shehem rak nishmaim below niraim. Other sounds in the world you hear, or you only hear the sounds, but you don't see the sounds. Elakol ha'amroim esakolos. But with the Aseres HaDibrot, all of the people saw the sounds. Shakolos shal nochi Hashem Elokecha, the voice, the sounds of Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God. Sheshamanu mipi agbura, they heard from God Himself. Kolos haniraim, they were unbelievable, unbelievably high, miraculously sounds. B'chol Yisrael ra'u es Anochi Hashem Elokecha. All Bnei Yisrael saw that I am the Lord your God. Bari shahashrosh hashmuna ha'amuna shonochi Hashem Elokecha, the root of amuna, of total belief of I am the Lord your God. Shu mitzvos amunas Hashem. That's the word Anochi Hashem Elokecha is listed by, if I recall correctly, by the Rambam as the first of the mitzvos, and it's the mitzvah of Amunah, mitzvah of believing in God. That's the first mitzvah, and that's the root of Amunah, of belief in God. The clarity of the Amunah that you have in Hashem by listening to Anochi Hashem Elokecha has to be the clarity of seeing. As if you're seeing something with your own eyes. Seeing is believing. As it says, you have seen to know that God is Lord, nothing is like him. This is something that you can see with your eyes. And so it's also written, be careful not to forget those things that you have seen with your eyes. There are things that you see with your eyes. The root of this amuna is eternal. And a Jew has the possibility of reaching a clarity of amuna, that I am the Lord your God, in the aspect of seeing. Not that I believe in God, but that I see God before my very eyes. And there's a difference, a very important difference between that, because somebody who says, I believe something, you can always change a belief. People change their beliefs all the time. Somebody comes up with evidence, makes you change your belief. Okay, I don't believe it anymore. But to see something, that's something else. To see and to know. I don't believe in God. I know there's God. So there's nothing you can do to change a belief, because I don't have a belief. I have a knowledge. I have a seeing with my own eyes. And that's the ability that we have to reach a clarity of amuna, of I am the Lord your God, the aspect of seeing. Zeo Perush, and this is what it means. Re'eh Anochi. See that I. Tzivui Nitzchi, it's an eternal commandment. Shetira Esaser Netivot. You should always see the 10 commandments. Shetia Behirot Emuna Munaso B'Chinas Re'eh. You should have a clarity of your amuna, of belief in God, in the aspect of seeing. Kadavar Hanir Leinayim, something that you're seeing before your eyes. This is the continuation of the blessing. Asher tishmu el mitzvos Hashem Elokecha, that you shall listen to the commandments of God. Behirot hazot be'amuna, through this clarity of amuna, shall anochi Hashem Elokecha, the aspect of amuna, and I am your Lord your God. B'chinas Riyah, through the aspect of seeing, Teda, you will know. Ki bracha hagadol b'yoter, the greatest bracha that you can have, the greatest blessing you can have, is Asher Tishmu mitzvos Hashem Elokechem, to hear the commandments of God. That's the greatest bracha that you can have. Shezeu Osher Achayim hagadol b'yoter. This is the greatest treasure that you can have in your life. B'chafel hefech, and also the opposite. Shaklala chas v'shalom, the curse, God forbid, is lo tishmo, if you don't listen, if you don't see the words of God, if you don't see the kolos of Hashem that God is speaking to us. And with this we could understand, Madua kasiv re'eh v'lashon yachid. Why does it say re'eh in the singular? Because it's referring to the Aseret HaDibrot, the Ten Commandments, that are all said in the singular. It doesn't say in plural, because Hashem is speaking to us in the Aseret HaDibrot to each one of us individually. We can't say that, oh, you commanded that to somebody else. It wasn't commanded to me. No, the Aseret HaDibrot are commanded to me. Lo tirtzach, you shouldn't kill. Lo tinav, you shouldn't commit adultery. Lo tignav, you shouldn't steal. Lo tachmod, you shouldn't desire something that's not yours. All in the singular. Atam bazeh. The reason for this is fishat seres dibrot emer lecha Yehudi v'Yehudi lepum dargaso, because the Aseret HaDibrot, the Ten Commandments which Hashem gave to us, which includes the entire Torah, includes the entire Taryag mitzvahs, was given to every one of us individually in accordance with our level of understanding and our level of being close to Hashem. You know, there's different people at that time, obviously, and today also. Everybody has a different level. We're not on the same level spiritually. Some have a more clarity of emunah than others. But the Aseret HaDibros were given to us according to what we have the ability to do. God didn't give the Torah to angels. He gave it to human beings. And every human being is different. So that's what was, Hashem gave us the Aseret HaDibros. Moshe Rabbeinu, from going down from Moshe, our teacher, Vad HaPachosh of Israel, to the least knowledgeable, the lowest person in Israel. She'otam hadvarim yesh b'hem k'pshuto hashayach le'adam pashut. These things were designed for every specific person. Yesh b'hem bechinas daka mina daka hashayach le'Moshe Rabbeinu l'fi kedushaso. And they have within this every point that would have gone to Moshe according to his holiness. Therefore, it's said to us in the singular, to each one of us according to the level that we're on. And he goes on to say, he says, the reason that we need the language of seeing, because knowing is not the same as seeing. And maybe he really means there, believing is not the same as seeing. Idea, knowledge, even if it's so strong, it's not like seeing with your eyes. We see that the struggle between the power of evil and the power of good is not equal. Why? All of the aspects of the power of evil, they're with watching with your eyes. You see something and you want it. You want to do something that is forbidden by the Torah. You're wanting it is because you're seeing it. It says the Ha'inayim Ra'u V'Halev Chomed V'Ivorim Nasu. The eyes see, the heart wants, and the eyes do it. So that's the power of evil. It's very strong because we're confronted with lots of things that draw our attention, that draw our desires that we shouldn't have. But the power of holiness, whoa, the power of holiness is only through emunah, is only through belief. I believe with perfect faith that the Holy One, blessed be He, knows every deed of a person, and every thought. And he does good, and does good to those who keep the mitzvahs. Umanish over mitzvahs, and punishes those who violate the mitzvahs. The kivan she'ein ze ela amuna, even since this is only amuna, chasr b'yasod habechira, shezel umazu, asa Hashem leman tiyeh bechira shekula. Because it's not with amuna alone, it doesn't match up to what you can see from evil. It's not an equal playing field. So Hashem wants to make the field equal, wants to give you at least a level playing field so that you have the opportunity to choose good over bad. In koach harub mara einayim, if the power of evil is through seeing with the eyes, koach kedusha k'neged lo ya'el v'chinas yediyah, and if the power of holiness only comes from knowledge, knowing, hari nishlatza habechira, it's not an equal. You don't have any choice. The choice is not equal. And therefore, so therefore, God gave to the aspect of holiness, power of holiness, the power of seeing. That Amuna should be on a higher level, as if you're seeing it with your very eyes. As we said, Yato Reiso Ladas, when all the seven heavens were opened before the Kabbalah Torah, before the giving of the Torah, people could see. They could see to know that God is God. Hashem Hu Elokim Eino B'Vado. There's nobody else but God. This is what it means. See, I give before you today. I'm giving you this present of seeing. Shetiru Einechem Esra Amuna. You will see with your eyes the Amuna. Shetiru Einechem Ki Abrocha Agadol B'Yoter. You'll see the greatest bracha is Ki Hasher Tishmu Mitzvos Hashem Elokeichem. See, the greatest bracha is that you are listening to God. Baklala, the greatest curse. If you don't listen to the mitzvos of Hashem. We see in Parsha I put before you today life and good, some of us for sarad, death and evil. Behold, I see, I give before you. God is giving us a level of seeing. It's the power of sight. Shiru beinayim, that you will see with your light. That the power, you'll see that that life and good are the love of God, and to serve Him with all your heart. That's the root, the foundation of good. Yiru ki hamovas bara heim v'sartem min haderech. We see that death and evil are in the aspect of v'sartem min haderech. The second parsha of the Shema, it says, v'sartem min haderech. You will turn from the way. You'll serve other gods. And I'm sure I've told you the story before, but it's worth repeating because it's on this particular pasuk. I had this chut to be in the be with the Rabbi, Rabbi Old Teitelbaum, Parsha Shalom, and he told me that his interpretation of this v'sartem min haderech. He says, "What does it mean? I mean, all of a sudden you're a great Jew, and the next second you're serving idols?" He says, "No, not at all. It doesn't mean that at all. V'sartem min haderech. V'sartem means you'll turn. When you turning ever so slowly, you don't even realize that you're turning until, whoa, all of a sudden you've turned all the way around. Not instantaneously. It's a process. And that's the process that we have to guard against, because it's so easy to say, oh, listen, okay, so I didn't do this thing, or I did this thing wrong, no big deal. But the next thing is no big deal, and so on. And you're completely off the path. Therefore, it's said on the language of seeing, the horo, to see, even the power of holiness. Nasa Kadosh Baruch Hu's koach hariya, God gave the power of seeing. Shiru b'einayim, you'll see with your eyes. Ma hai derech achayim v'atov. What is the way for life and good, and makor habracha, and the foundation of blessing? V'nimsa, and you'll see shekoach hakadosh, the power of holiness. Shakol keneged koach hara, is then equalizes, makes the level playing field with the power of evil. And God has done this to overcome evil. And the difference between why with the Shema, it didn't say Lo Nemar B'Lashon Riyah. It didn't say Re'eh Yisrael. It says Shema Yisrael. Why it says Shari Kai Ala Asi? Because it's talking about the future. Here is Rashi, as Rashi explains. Hashem Shehu Elokeinu Atah. God, you are our God, Atah, now. Below Elokei Ha'umos Avoda Alilim, not the God of those idol worshippers. Asi Liot Hashem Echad. In the future, God will be one. Shenemar Ki Az, then Epoch El Amim. It will turn around for people's Sofer Barura, in a clear language, Likro Kulam B'Shem Hashem, that all the nations will call the name of God. Whenever, as we say, Bayom Hahu, on that day, Yi Hashem Echad, God's name will be one, God will be one, Ushmo Echad, his name will be one. Whatever HaKoil Al Otid, and something that happens to do with the future, Lo Shayach Riyah. You don't need the word Riyah, seeing. Kim Yadiyah Vishmiyah, just to know and to listen. Something that's happening now, you need Riyah, you need to see. Something that's going to happen in the future, you just have to have knowledge of it. But you can see what's in front of your eyes right now. And the message that the Netivot Shalom is giving us, and the Torah is giving us, is to use our eyes for the purpose that Hashem gave them to us, to look and see that God is present in this world, not as a question mark, not as, is God on vacation? No matter what's going on in the world, God is here. God is not taking a vacation. Look at the good around us. Look at the ability that you have, that each one of us have, to do good in this world. The ability of each of us to follow in the path of God by seeing how we deal with one another, by seeing how we deal with ourselves. We've said, the sages tell us that for a person to be whole, to be complete, he has to be shalom, the briot. He has to be complete, have peace with the rest of humanity. Shalom, ba'atzmo, peace with himself. Shalom imabore, and peace with the Creator. Those three levels of peace. And with those things, if we look and open our eyes, and don't stumble as if we're in the darkness, but open our eyes to see the beauty around us, and to see the sounds that God is giving to us, then we are on the right path. Thank you for listening to this year. I'll take any questions. All right, hearing none, I'm going to stop the recording. Just a moment.